voice and with gentle hand gestures. And when he reads the part stating, "We are for peace and not destruction," he pauses and looks into the camera for dramatic effect. All this is to manipulate the viewer into thinking he is honorable.
We are for peace and not destruction.
But what he fails to realize is, with Moors that actually study, we don't have to go that deep into Noble Druali's literature to see Rami's clear violation and hypocrisy. It is very simple. All we have to do is use something that pretty much every Moor should have in their possession: the divine constitution of Moorish America. Let's work backwards and start with Act 5 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 5 reads, "No organization of Moorish America is to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby." The question that Moors ask about Act 5 is, which said government, laws, and constitution is the Prophet speaking about? The thing is, if the Prophet told us to enforce the Constitution, and a Constitution is the supreme law of the land in every country on the planet, then we are to enforce the Constitution of the said government in any land that we domicile, including our own divine Constitution of Moorish America. And this is why we are not to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. This is universal. So let's go to the Constitution of the United States of America and read the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." This is what Rami won't tell you. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not breaking any laws. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not going against the divine constitution of Moorish America. He won't tell you that Rise of the Moors is not going against the Constitution of the United States of America. What Rami is hoping is that his soft voice and gentle hand gestures will manipulate you into thinking he is correct in what he is saying about Rise of the Moors, all while saying,
"We have to be true, I can't be hypocritical."
So Rise of the Moors is not breaking any constitutional laws of the United States of America, nor any constitutional laws of the divine constitution of Moorish America. And, so far, neither is Rami. Now let's move up to Act 4 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 4 reads, "All citizens must preserve these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government, because by being a Moorish American, you are a part and parcel of the government, and must live the life accordingly." This is where Rami's hypocrisy is apparent, because this is where his second violation appears. Now, of course, Rami violating Act 4 may not be obviously clear to many. So for that clarity, let's go to Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. Act 3 reads, "Love, truth, peace, freedom and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love." Once again, no citizen is to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister, because Allah is love. Rami put out a video claiming that Rise of the Moors are domestic terrorists. Let me repeat that again. Rami put out a video claiming that Rise of the Moors are domestic terrorists. That is the absolute height of falsely accusing his brother or sister and putting them in a dangerous, life-threatening position. The absolute height. All while trying to manipulate the viewer into thinking he is correct, because he is talking in a soft voice and with gentle hand gestures. This is absolutely disgusting. Rami is not only falsely accusing Rise of the Moors with his insinuation, but also putting Rise of the Moors, their family and children, in harm's way. Just think about this for a moment. What does the United States government do with so-called domestic terrorists? Here, let's let Rami tell you.
Because this is not a game. And for those watching that may not understand why I'm coming at it like this, let me break it down. The U.S. government, particularly the FBI, is calling people in the sovereign citizens domestic terrorists. They are calling people in the sovereign citizen movement, people that call themselves sovereign citizens or promote sovereignty or even try to use that kind of logic, that kind of thinking. They are labeling, classifying those kinds of people, those groups, as domestic terrorists. Why is this important? Well, what is the U.S. doing to terrorists all around the world? So-called terrorists. Be it the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, the so-called ISIS, whatever group they want to create. I mean, it's out there, not that they created it. But what are they doing? Bombing them, going after them, sending thousands of troops, billions and trillions of dollars. War. A war on terrorism. So, if they're doing that to people over there, what do you think they're going to do to domestic terrorists? You think it's going to be all peaches and rainbows and flowers and daisies? No. No, it's not. And the people that are trying to associate Moors and Moorish Americans to sovereign citizens are thereby trying to associate us and classify us as domestic terrorists so that the U.S. government and those three-letter agencies can bring war on us.
All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet.
So Rami knows exactly what he's doing, and the danger that he is causing to a fellow Moor, the Moor's wife, and children, yet clearly does not care. And to make things worse, the title of his video is, Moorish Americans Do Not Support, insinuating that all Moorish Americans agree with his hypocrisy and deliberate violation of Act 3, all while attempting to put rise of the Moors on an island by themselves, and putting key trigger words in his video like real Moorish Americans, trying to manipulate the viewer into thinking that he is a real Moorish American, and that only real Moorish Americans agree with him. What the hell is a real Moorish American? All these violations cloaked in a soft voice, and with gentle hand gestures to try and pacify you and distract you from his absolute abhorrent tactics. Absolutely disgusting. So say what you want about Grand Sheikh Cujo Adwoel, and how he speaks to people online, and how he is always talking about dirty Moors and traitors, etc. You have never heard him attempt to label a Moor anything that would bring a foreign corporate entity's military down on that Moor, his wife and children. Never. Even if the Moor was selling packages for $7,000, $10,000, or $20,000, Grand Sheikh Cujo Adwoel never attempted to label a Moor anything that would bring a foreign corporate entity's military down on that Moor and his family. Never. But for some reason, Rami comes with his soft voice and gentle hand gestures, and this distracts some so-called studious Moors enough so that they do not recognize his supreme violation. Absolutely disgusting. This is a clear violation of Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America, and thus by his violation of Act 3, he has automatically violated Act 4. And being that all constitutions are the supreme law of its respective land, the Divine Constitution of Moorish America is the supreme law of Moorish America. Rami did not even make it past Act 3 of our Divine Constitution. Yet Rami will say,
all true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet.
And
you have to be true. I can't be hypocritical.
Rami is being hypocritical. So Rami can say what he wants about the Supreme Grand Council and what Grand Sheikh Cujo is saying, but Rami did not even make it past Act 3 of the Divine Constitution of Moorish America. And no soft voice and gentle hand gestures or key catchphrases like,
don't believe what I say, I encourage you to look up everything that you see, everything that you hear.
And deny the fact that Rami blatantly put a fellow Moor, regardless of if he agrees with the other Moor's viewpoint or not, and his wife and child, in an environment to be severely violated by the United States government. Rami said it himself.
Because this is not a game. And for those watching that may not understand why I'm coming at it like this, let me break it down. The U.S. government, particularly the FBI, is calling people in the sovereign citizens domestic terrorists. They are calling people in the sovereign citizen movement, people that call themselves sovereign citizens or promote sovereignty or even try to use that kind of logic, that kind of thinking. They are labeling, classifying those kinds of people, those groups, as domestic terrorists. Why is this important? Well, what is the U.S. doing to terrorists all around the world? So-called terrorists. Be it the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, so-called ISIS, whatever group they want to create. I mean, it's out there, not that they created it. But what are they doing? Bombing them, going after them, sending thousands of troops, billions and trillions of dollars. War. A war on terrorism. So, if they're doing that to people over there, what do you think they're going to do to domestic terrorists? You think it's going to be all peaches and rainbows and flowers and daisies? No. No, it's not. And the people that are trying to associate Moors and Moorish Americans to sovereign citizens are thereby trying to associate us and classify us as domestic terrorists so that the U.S. government and those three-letter agencies can bring war on us.
That makes Rami the epitome of a hypocrite and a true sellout. Rami has the nerve to speak about El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz, aka Malcolm X, and the NOI, and he knows that Minister Farrakhan admitted to creating the environment for El-Hajj Malik al-Shabazz to be murdered. So Rami knows exactly what he is doing with Rise of the Moors. And we see through his soft voice and gentle hand gesture hypocrisy. Rami said it himself.
You know what you're doing. And justice will come to you. Not from me, not from any more, not from any human being. The Creator.
Rami will get his payback from Allah. So Rami can quote all the Prophet Noble Drew Ali quotes he wants. He can come in our chat while there is a live YouTube video happening and quote all the sayings from Noble Drew Ali. Just like a Christian church pastor, picking and choosing what quotes he can use to pacify his congregation, hoping that they won't see through his hypocrisy and BS. Hey Rami, here is a Bible quote for you. Proverbs 11, verse 9. A hypocrite with his mouth destroyeth his neighbor, but through knowledge the just shall be delivered. Nothing will change the fact that what Rami did is worse than any dirty Moor selling packages, worse than any so-called black people making videos attacking Moors, etc. Rami created an environment for a fellow Moor and his family to be fatally harmed. And if anything happens to Rise of the Moors, that will be on Rami's soul, because Rami knows exactly what he is doing. Rami said it himself.
You know what you're doing.
We have to be true. I can't be hypocritical.
Rami is the epitome of a hypocrite and a sellout. Yuck.
So, and then Farrakhan apologized. He said, I'm sorry for making it, I'm paraphrasing. He said, I'm sorry for making it, for making the environment for it to be okay for him to be murdered. So now think, Rami Salam El, you fucking idiot, if you're for love so much, you think it's okay to put the phrase domestic terrorist and then put a fucking picture of me there? You idiot? What type of subliminal image are you putting in people's minds, you fucking idiot?
that they're playing games.
This is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the July 2021 incident involving a group called Rise of the Moors? Another question here would be, who are the Moorish sovereign citizens? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this.
So why is he talking? Because when you check October 17, 2020, Dr. Todd Grand, celebrity psychologist, diagnosing people he never met for likes and clicks. Sometimes I can't stand these people these days. People misusing their credentials for personal gains. Remember, this is 2020. I am a pharmacist, and I never heard of a medical practitioner giving their opinions on people they never consulted or met in person. I don't think psychology should be exempt from this. So I went to investigate Dr. Todd, and here's what I found. Obviously, Dr. Todd is only licensed as a medical health counselor. They do not have the same level of knowledge as a licensed psychiatrist. They do not have knowledge on mental disorders, but I do not think that their specialty area, and they do not have the authority to prescribe a pharmacological treatment. I think it's even damaging to discuss people this way. 2020. 2020. But here comes Dr. Grand telling you about some Rise of the Moors. When he's in strict violation of the Golden Water Rule. The Golden Water Rule. The Golden Water Rule, everybody has codes and whatever they got to go by. You're claiming profession. So, psychiatry, American Psychiatry Association has their codes. And in their code, 7.3 is the Golden Water Rule. On occasion, psychiatrists are asked for an opinion about an individual who is in the light of public attention or who has disclosed information about himself or herself through public media. In such circumstances, a psychiatrist may share with the public his or her expertise about psychiatric issues in general. However, it is unethical for a psychiatrist to offer a professional opinion unless he or she has conducted an examination and has been granted proper authorization for such a treatment. So here comes doctor trying to give his opinion, his psychiatric opinion about individuals who happen to be going camping, and they made it on the news under color of law, color of authority, color of jurisdiction, color of state, color of anything colorable that you could think of. And everyone's using this, trying to deter you Negroes, blacks, coloreds, and whoever else from proclaiming their nationality. Islam more.
Islam more.
What's good, yo? I know you got some stuff on your mind. You don't talk much.
It's just, it's crazy, man, that like you said, the Moorish just going camping, bro.
Camping.
And, anybody that's coming at their neck sideways, they need to take a hard look in the mirror, bro. Because, like, you hear the Moorish youth in the background, like, it's not a game. And the Moorish putting it on the line for not himself, but for anybody who's proclaiming or professing to be anything.
And like I said, bro, I don't get on social media to do any of that. I just stay in the background. You know.
Yeah.
Hold on for a second. King.
Yeah.
Come here. Come here. Like this is what Brother Jamal does it for, bro. What's your nationality?
What's American?
Nothing else. And he's 5. And then you have people that's been in this 20, 40, whatever amount of time they want to say, and they still calling people black. They still want to call people that are doing it for the youth, doing it for the nation, a domestic terrorist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the sense in that? What do you have to gain for saying anything about the brother if it's not to uplift him? And anybody that's proclaiming a profession to be anything, why are you not near the Massachusetts territory if you're about what you say you're about? And at the end of the day, it's a company. When you do the research, it's a company at the end of the day, bro. So, like you said, how can a table say that they did anything? And it's not just them. That's for any more who's saying he's a Moor right now today. You're on trial just like Brother Jamal is. And that's all I wanted to say, more. And I don't know if I hit it by, there's no such thing as accident. So if I hit it, it was intentional. You know what I mean? If it was a request.
Mm. Oh, all right.
You know what I mean?
You know it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to say I support the bro. I support all the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody that's saying otherwise or saying anything otherwise, you already know what time it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I yield, more.
Give thanks, more. Just now, give thanks.
If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I will put the link to Patreon in the description for this video.
What's on it, Daddy?
And it's a rush delivery?
No.
You'd better get going.
Keep game, man. They know what they're doing.
No, I can't hear it.
Keep game. Keep game. They know what they're doing. I have lost respect for him openly, requesting people to support him on Patreon. Dr. Grand is not a licensed psychologist, not a licensed psychiatrist, and is not a licensed medical doctor. Dr. Grand received his PhD in philosophy and not in medicine. Dr. Grand is licensed by the state of Delaware as a mental health counselor. Licensed mental health counselors do not have the same scope of practice as a licensed psychologist, a licensed psychiatrist, or a licensed medical doctor. Licensed medical health counselors have their own licensing regulation board, which is separate from the licensed psychological board. Dr. Grand posts sensationalized videos on his YouTube channel that often gives diagnosis to people, which is acting outside his scope of practice. In April of 2019, a journalist wrote a news article entitled something like "Armchair Psychologist Who Ticked Off YouTube," where Dr. Grand is mentioned as being one of the armchair psychologists that gossips. The news story pointed out that even psychiatrists don't comment on the mental health of anyone they haven't examined. If you feel that you would like to file a complaint against Dr. Grand, then you can file your complaint with the Delaware Licensing Board for Mental Health and chemical dependency. Or you might try filing a complaint with the Delaware Licensing Board for psychology, because the Delaware Psychology Board has a checkbox for people that are operating without a license in psychology. Just repeat that again. Let's repeat that again. For those people who are listening to Dr. Todd Grand, 774,000 subscribers. July 7th, 2021 upload, Moorish Sovereign Citizens Analysis. Moorish Sovereign Citizens Analysis, Dr. Todd Grand. Dr. Todd Grand. So we'll just put that one out there again. If you feel that you would like to file a complaint against Dr. Grand, then you can file your complaint with the Delaware Licensing Board for Medical Health and Chemical Dependency. Or you might try to file a complaint with the Delaware Licensing Board for Psychology, because the Delaware Psychology Board has a checkbox for people that are operating without a license in psychology. Dr. Grand, talking crazy about Moors. And again, all these people playing this sovereign citizen game are directly out of the SPLC, this whole concept of labeling people sovereign citizens and domestic terrorists is SPLC, Southern Poverty Law Center. This is what they do. This is what they do. They've done so much damage to people that organizations that have been defamed by Southern Poverty Law Center has made a joint statement against Southern Poverty Law Center, who are the same people that are feeding the info to the news media to put out that some Moors going camping are domestic terrorists. Some Moors going camping are Moorish sovereign citizens. And you better watch out, because they could be living in your community and then have you snitching on your own people because they want a better life for themselves. They want to go camping. They don't want to sit down and watch TV. They don't want to do that. They want to go camping. They don't want to go play basketball. They want to go camping. Did they show you where camping is a crime? Or they start talking about long guns and states and all that stuff? Oh, well, they didn't tell you that these people have been going camping for at least a year. They've been going camping. They just start going camping. They've been going camping. So how they get stopped camping and all that stuff? Right. And there's a perfect opportunity to, get the suits ready. Because clearly there's a conspiracy going on. If SPLC is feeding the info to the news that these people are domestic terrorists, and then the highwaymen, which are foreign European corporations, are in contact with the news people, isn't that conspiracy? Isn't that conflict of interest? So if it's a conspiracy, isn't that Violation of United States codes. And if that's violation of United States codes, then maybe they should get a lawsuit. Just saying. It's all a campaign against the Moors. Because there is a hashtag rise of the Moors. Not an organization. It's not about an organization. That's about everyone who knows that there are more waking up to that fact. Rise of the Moors. Because these individuals because they went camping, they're a threat. The rise of the Moors is about all Moors. Not all Moors are with this. Not all Moors are with this. Why wouldn't Moors be with this? Why wouldn't Moors want Moors to be able to go camping? And then when you check the record, you see at this time with this incident that all the frauds are making themselves known. Anyone who doesn't support Rise of the Moors 100 is a traitor, especially if they are fez-wearing, turban-wearing Moorish Americans. If they are claiming to be Moorish Science Temple, if they are claiming to be Moorish, whatever they're claiming, and they're talking about some people going camping and not talking about the violation of rights that was done with these people's tax money, right? Oh, and go get all the backstories at moorishwork.com. So you're hearing it from your narrative. So you're not getting it from the news people who are using SPLC. You get the narrative from moorishwork.com. Get the narrative from purplepaperclip.com. Don't get the narrative from the people who've been lying to you. That doesn't make sense. You're being dumb. Why would you go to the people who was enslaving you to know about yourself, to know what's going on with yourself? Why are you going to the colonists? Why don't you go to your own? Moorishwork.com and purplepaperclip.com. So that way you can get it from your sources as Moors, because you have places to go where you can get it. You don't have to get it from the traders. You don't have to get it from the traders. Because the story has to be told from the right context. If it's not, it's psychological warfare. If you're not getting it from the right context, then it's psychological warfare. There's another operation going on that you're not privy to.
The I team is digging into the group charged in the weekend highway standoff with police. They call themselves the Rise of the Moors, but that's causing some confusion and anxiety for another group, the Moorish Science Temple of America. As WBZ Chief Investigator Sharon shows us, Moorish say that men have distorted their message. They're not prepared to put their name or define every purpose.
Why? Because he doesn't have a name. Names are Christian. And he's not Christian. So I can't tell you my name. Like, I'm not Christian. I can't tell you my name. Nothing to do with anything. Nothing to do with anything. All that is assuming jurisdiction. Because once you answer, you're in it. And if they got you kidnapped with handcuffs on you, you're in it. So it's not, but you're going too far. Forget court dates and all that stuff. They're going camping. Is camping a crime? If camping's not a crime, then why are we talking about court dates? Is camping a crime? If camping's a crime, we can talk about court dates. If camping's not a crime, then why are we talking about court dates? Why are people getting kidnapped? Why is highway getting shut down and all that stuff for people going camping? Because it's an op to get you to look at the Moorish movement from some negative perspective, when it's not. They were going camping. I know them personally. They were going camping. I know them personally. Not all of them, but I know them. They always go camping. They always go camping. Always. So for this one time for them to get stopped, and then it's on a long weekend, something's up. I don't know what's up, but I know something's up. And at that moment, let's just get through this peacefully. And we'll do with whatever after. And then got through it peacefully. Now, at that moment of them getting through it peacefully and them getting handcuffed and taken to the back, at that point, every Negro, black, colored, Black Lives Matter, pump fists in the air for whatever, marching and picking it all over the place, paint the street with Black Lives Matter, all those people should have had, their jaw should have been on the floor, because we already know that all of them were expecting it. So they could then use it against the Moors and say, see, the Moors get shot too. But it didn't happen, which is supposed to make them STFU and have nothing to say and get on the Moors bandwagon now. But they do that? No, they didn't do that. They're not. They're listening to news now. These are the conscious people. How many Moors out there, because of this thing, finally got that call from that individual who they weren't even taking you serious when you were telling them about this? They weren't taking you serious. All of a sudden, you're getting calls. You're getting calls now? You're getting calls? Your people? Isn't that your people? Your people too. You keep playing. Thinking this is some one arm show or something. It's not. Like, it's treason. It's treason. Because if we're saying that we're Moors, not Negro, black, colored, and we're Aboriginal indigenous, then that's a free state. And if that's a free state, then a well-regulated militia is necessary. Moorish American is a free state. That's not an encumbered state. That's not a state under servitude or subjugation. That's not a prisoner state. That's a free state. So if that's a free state, a well-regulated militia is necessary. Keep in mind, it's Aboriginal and Indigenous, so it's not within the jurisdiction of U.S. If it's Moroccan, it's not in the jurisdiction of U.S. That's why they don't have a name. I guarantee if she said, "What's your title?" they would have told her. Guarantee if she said, "What's your appellation?" they would have told her. Why didn't she just say, "What's your appellation?" That's in the law dictionary. Why? How come? How come she didn't ask, "What's your title?" I've been watching news. You guys saying that you're Moors and all this stuff. What's your title? If you're not a name, if you don't have a name, what's your title? That would be what a competent court would do, because there's options. You know what I mean? Just like when nobody was debating when they said, "Well, do you take an oath and all that stuff? Do you swear to tell the whole truth so help you God?" I affirm. How come you didn't say, "I swear"? How come you're not debating that? Oh, because you know that there's options in court. All right, well, there's options. Why didn't she ask, "What's your title"? Why didn't she ask, "Do you have a body politic"? Do you have a body politic? Come they didn't ask that. They should have asked if you have a body politic instead of asking, "What's your name?" Because they already know if they ask, "What's your name?" that the Moor is going to not say anything, which now would make them be able to ex parte. Because if there's no name, but this is the hoopla is going on, then they got to go ahead with it. And what's that? That's color. If they're going ahead with it in color, then anything and everything that they do moving forward is color, because they violated the law. Because they had their Moroccan flag on the highway. Everyone saw it. How come they didn't give them counsel? And how come so-called people who say that they're consul and say that they're consulate said, "Oh yeah, we spoke with them, but he called the highwayman an officer, so that means he wanted them to handle him, not us"? You're a lying traitor. Lying traitor. Liar. Because you can save face to sell your little packages and your little classes. You got it like that, and you're not looking out for the Moors. You could show on your website that you got all these stuff dismissed. You're telling me that because somebody called somebody officer, the foreigners have jurisdiction and you can't do anything about it? Really? Wow. Wow. That's no different than these people right here.
In Saturday's highway shutdown, they faced a judge in Malden on gun charges.
You were charged with 6 counts. Count 1, carrying a firearm without a license. Count 2, possess a large capacity firearm.
Police arrested a group of 11 heavily armed men on Route 9 in Wakefield. Jamal Ladder, the self-proclaimed leader of the Rise of the Moors, they were on their way to a training. Central militia group based in Iran claimed to be Moorish armed citizens.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Because on their own website, it says we are not sovereign citizens. On the Rise of the Moors' own website, it says we are not sovereign citizens. So for them to come up and say they're sovereign citizens, for them to come up and say that they're sovereign citizens when their own website says they're not sovereign citizens, that's fraud and should be disallowed. You're not supposed to be still talking after you hear that. After you hear that, you're still listening to them. After you hear that, everything after they said that is a fraud. Everything that they say after is a fraud because they just lied. Oh, but nah, you're not riding with that. You're going with the BS. And then looking at Moors like we did some. People going camping. They had a Moroccan flag on the highway. Automatically, that's diversity of citizenship. But because they're colored, because you Negroes have been funding these people with your tax dollars and whatever else you give them, now they have propaganda, news, etc. to use to. Because what are they gonna? What are they? What's the purpose of them? Right. Okay. So let's analyze this. Okay. So let's say this goes to the end, right? And then they just say release them. What would be the purpose of all this? And then if they said bury them under the jail, what would be the purpose of all this? Like what you think? You think that by them doing this to those Moors that you're gonna stop people from being Moors? Like what's your ultimate outcome? Get them off the street for what? Like what were they doing on the street that is so criminal that you have to remove them from circulation? Like what did they do? What did they do that you're gonna go to these lengths with people's tax dollars to get them off the street? For what? So it has to be something other than some jail and some stuff like that. It can't be just about that. There's something else going on. They're using these Moors to make an example so that people drop off of being Moors, as if remove them and Rise of the Moors is going to stop. Rise of the Moors is not an organization. So what are you talking about? And Rise of the Moors are not sovereign citizens. So if Moors aren't sovereign citizens, and they said on their website that they're not sovereign citizens, and then they said when they were alive that they're not sovereign citizens, then they cut their stream off, and now the news is talking about their sovereign citizens. And then you're going with the news is saying? Now we're looking at you funny, because we already know how these people do. But you're going with them? Well, yeah, we're looking at you funny. This is why we've been looking at you funny. We just cuss everybody out and go back behind the veil. And some Moors say, forget this, and they completely go underground because of all this same stuff right here. Because of all this same stuff right here. Sellouts, traitors, treason. Right? You know what they're doing.
Who are not subject to the laws of the United States. The leaders of the National Moorish Organization in Atlanta, called Moorish Science Temple of America, founded in 1928, say they have nothing to do with the rights of the Moors, so they it's almost like identity and they have
Right now, all these traders right here, all these traders aren't the Moorish Science Temple that we told us that Moorish Science Temple is behind Rise of the Moors. They backed them 100% because they did nothing wrong. They were going camping. Here come these old Moors who Noble said we're supposed to be seated in the back, because that's where old Moors go. You go in the back, because new Moors are here now, and we got this. The only reason that these Moors could get kidnapped and stuff is because of traders like this, that they should be using their Moorish Science Temple of America power that they got to be on the news to say, you know what? They're actually right. They did nothing wrong. Why are you violating these people's rights? They're not going there with their power. They're going to talk crazy about them. They're going to go on news and talk crazy about Moors when they're Moors themselves. And you want to know how come the Moorish thing not going it? Because of traders and sellouts. We've been telling you. This situation should let you see right now how many traders that there are. And once you know who they are, now stop dealing with them. Why are you still dealing with them when you know that they're traders? Why are you giving them any type of say? And they're selling you out because, like you say, we just come up behind the veil and see what's going on, because stuff is getting crazy. People we never heard from in years calling, talking about. Do you see it? You didn't see anybody get shot up. How about that? Yeah, well, they got them arrested. No, but I didn't see anybody get shot up like your black people got shot up. Now, how come we're not talking about that, black guys? How come we're talking about the Moors got arrested? How about nobody got shot up? I don't care if they got arrested. They was get arrested all the time. All your nigger leaders got arrested and shot up. How come they didn't shoot the Moors up? Huh? How come? How come they didn't? Because they know it's diversity of citizenship. So if it's diversity of citizenship, not shooting them up is not all that applies. Everything applies across the board. So they were supposed to be taken to the place or whatever. Hey, you got some stuff to prove that who you say you are? Yeah, call this number. They could verify who I am. Bam, they call, yep, they're Moorish American. We'll call all these different Moorish Science, whoever, just to verify if you're, they call Grand Major Temple, yep, they're Moorish American. They call Temple in Atlanta, yep, they're Moorish American. They call Canaanland, yep, they're Moorish American. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were just going camping. We know them. They're good. They're not. You made a mistake with those ones. Don't worry about them. We got TV Club, so we can tell you. Don't worry about them. Right? We can tell you that. If you don't see that this is a psyop, you're absolutely lost. You're absolutely lost. Because based on how the psyop plays on the people is going to be based on how the court stuff goes, which is why the Moors are putting it out there that Medford District Court, 4040 Mystic Valley Park, Medford, Massachusetts, so that all you Second Amendment people, Negro, black, colored, whoever, European, Syrian, Palestinian, whatever, any Second Amendment people, you should be looking at this too, because they're also violating you. They're also violating you. So if you know any people who are black gun club people, Huey P. Newton Gun Club and all these people, don't talk about we're not Moors and all that stuff, so we're not going to support that. What are you talking about? How, why not? They had pots with them. Like, right to property, right? Liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that stuff. So there's people who just have happiness. There's people who have arms. What's the problem? You have arms. So why wouldn't you be riding with the other people who have arms just like you? Because obviously they weren't terrorists because they didn't find anything implying that they were going to go do anything terroristic. Nothing. They found some camping stuff, some guns and some ammunition. How is that terrorist activity? Are you even thinking? Wake up, sleepy. Don't sleep. Don't fall asleep. Don't fall asleep. It's an op. And these are their little minions that they're sending out to keep pushing the narrative. When these people are a fraud. The Grand Major Temple, we already told you, the Grand Major Temple backs Rise of the Moors. That's Moorish Science Temple. If anybody's Moorish Science Temple in America, it's Grand Major Temple, not these frauds that are on the news. And Grand Major Temple is with Rise of the Moors 100%. Every Moor that anywhere I went to do a lecture that came to the lecture packing, I knew they were packing. Why? Because they have that right to do that. Right? I'm not in their jurisdiction. How's that my business? No, I'm not going to be. I don't like that. No, what's the big deal? This is their jurisdiction. They pack here. You know, everybody's walking around with suitcases because everybody's packing. Just walking around. I'm not talking about some state says, this state says, and that state says, and that. We're Moors. We're Aboriginal and Indigenous. International law applies when it comes to us, not domestic, not local. The whole thing is a op. After they stopped going live, after Rise of the Moors live got cut, you shouldn't have been listening to anything else. You should have been listening to anything else. As soon as their live got cut, right when they said whatever was the last thing they said, and then they made their phone call, and in them making their phone call, they were able to get their live on Instagram cut. While they were going live, they cut them. At that point, you should have just not been listening to anybody after that. Because now only one side controls the narrative. Then you should have went to Purple Paperclip or Moorish Work to go get your update of what's going on. Moorishwork.com, purplepaperclip.com. That's where you should have went to know what's going on with this situation. There's the countdown. Learn from this, Moors. Honest all the Moors who are assisting in the background. Honest all the Moors who are continuing to put this work out. Honest all Moors worldwide that are active, not passive. Moorishwork.com, purplepaperclip.com. Honors to all mothers.